Good evening, folks. This is Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update on Sunday, March 25th, 10:05 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. Drain your eyes to the top left. Sakurajima, just hours ago, a very impressive explosion and lava fountain. This is coming from Volcano Watch. You can just see that right there. Boom! Amazing footage. That is 1,000-foot high explosion. If you were camping under there, it would be a very hot day. Look at those major pyroclastic bombs coming down here. So that's a pretty significant event, and you can come watch it live over at Volcano Watch. Just happening about 12 hours ago. Give them a thumbs up and subscribe to Volcano Watch, our #1 source of volcano news. Look back at the record-breaking spring snowstorm, Storm Uma, crushing all spring records. It was an incredible start to late March weekend. Snow and more snow fell. Many Hoosiers, while others had nothing at all, because it formed in this band here, this narrow band, which develops as a Canadian clipper drops down. You might have remember, if you're over 40, the word clipper back in the 70s was used a lot. And this is a clipper, a snow band 1,000 miles long and 50 miles wide, visible by satellite. Shout out to the National Weather Service for placement of their winter storm warnings in pink. They nailed it. Very infrequently do they do that, but they under-forecast the snow totals. Look at that, 12.6 in Avon, just outside of Indianapolis, was buried. There were several 10-plus snow amounts reported, many confined to an even narrower band from North Salem to Avon and Hendricks. This is like a 13-mile wide band. Now let's look at some of the records. Indy recorded 10.2 inches of snow, smashing the previous record for March 24th of 6.2, but almost double, which was only set back in 2013. Also ranks as the second highest single-day March snow since 1884. Huh. I heard of that date. Oh, it's back here in cycle 12 at this solar minimum, which is very reminiscent of the same total solar irradiance we're sitting at right now. So, records being broken across Indianapolis. Heads up, Hoosiers. History was made in other areas, including the New River Valley coming out of Virginia, Roanoke. The snow is gone, but the impacts remain. Travel is difficult in the New River Valley. Look at that. They didn't have any snow all winter. 10.6 coming in the spring, making it the 10th snowiest March so far. The snow is not gone. The latest round of snow have put areas on the record books. Dublin, 14. Wyethville, 14. Rocky Gap, 10. Blacksburg and Danville both recorded top 5 snowiest spring days ever. With 20.6 inches of snow far this month, they have recorded a surge to the second snowiest winter ever or season on record since going back to 1960. That's in the New River Valley, East Coast, Southern East Coast. We're talking snows all the way down to South Carolina, showing up right now on the current North American snowfall cover map. There's also, in the 5th day of spring, snow in 34 states on the ground. So we're going to be monitoring this into the summer to see how this develops, and we'll be playing it forward. Now, you also want to notice that all of Canada is covered in snow. Hudson Bay is still completely frozen over, so we'll see when that starts thawing sometime in June. And if you're in Toronto, you don't have to email me and say, there's no snow on the ground. We know, Toronto, you should be in the United States. Sorry, Toronto. You're not really Ontario. Let's look at the GFS model moving out to April 4th, and it's showing the snow all the way as south as Tennessee, Arkansas, the Ozarks, Oklahoma, through April 4th. This snow is supposed to be coming through April 1st, Saturday, Sunday on the weekend, dropping snow all the way south, down here back into Tennessee in those same regions. We're going to have a higher band of snow up here in the upper Central Plains including heavy snows developing in northern Wyoming, up to 3 feet predicted in the northern mountains. And then we have an April storm coming into the Sierras here, which could bring 3 to 5 feet more snow after April 4th. Those models are way out, but check out New England. And the GFS model, northern New York, Lake Placid area, you're looking at another 2 foot of snow over the next week and a half. This is a 10-day outlook, and they're claiming a New England storm right here, Monday, April 3rd, April 2nd and 3rd. So heads up, we'll keep our eyes on these models. The snow is not letting up into April. It looks just like a winter model. And that is tonight's first boom. Boom. Thank you, Steve Keeley. Let's check the national weather.gov map, see where we're looking, if there's any winter weather advisories or warnings. We have snow up in northeastern Wyoming, winter weather watches and warnings all over northeastern Wyoming. Out in the upper Great Plains here, we have some wind advisories in these regions, flood watches over here, cutting a swath here through Missouri, and we have some flood warnings here in Indiana, as well as high wind and gale warnings all the way up the East Coast. Heads up, I'll leave you links to that, weather.gov. Just click on it if you're in those areas. Hydro crews forced to melt ice off power lines in Manitoba. It's getting pretty serious. Look at this insanity here. This guy is up there chipping ice off of these dangling lines. It's because it's cold, there's ice storms, winter is not over, and there's more snow predicted. We're looking at a very snowy forecast for much of the central Canadian region, which is causing ice and havoc. Look at these lines here dangling. It's pretty insane. So you can come over here and watch this article about what's going on in Canada and how they're cleaning the lines and risking their lives to do so. Totally insane. Heads up, Brent. Probably know some of these guys. So, Environment Canada has issued a blowing snow advisory for parts of southern Manitoba. A low-pressure system tracking through central Manitoba today, is expected to produce strong southerly 50-mile-an-hour gusting winds to 70 kilometers in the Red River Valley Sunday morning, combined with falling snow, blowing snow, and it's expected to produce poor visibility. The southern Red River Valley is expected to experience the strongest winds in terms of snowfall. The eastern Red River should do the same. It's not looking good for you up there in Canada. Check out these ice jams and related flooding. You can see this link below the bottom left of the video where it says show more. Go click it. If you don't know how to find that show more or the links I provide, please ask someone. Humble yourself. A little humility will bring you far in this world. The Beast from the East 3.0, furious -8C storm set to unleash white Easter on the UK. It's going to bury Denmark. It's going to go all the way down this system into southern Spain. It's going to hit the northern Sahara Desert and on and on. The GFS models are agreeing. We're about to look at them. It looks as though everyone's bank holidays are going to be ruined by the final installment of the Beast from the East trilogy. Why they are claiming that they know this is the final installment is anyone's guess, because they're full of it. Did they call it as the second Beast from the East was the end? I don't think so. So calling this as the end of the Beast from the East is totally insane. We don't need to show the controls anymore. But we do need to loop this. Come on, Steve Keeley, get blasted. Yeah, okay, we're back in business. So this Beast from the East 3.0 fast and furious -8C storm set to unleash a white Easter on the UK is set all go. Uh-oh. Who likes trilogies? I don't, but I think it's a quadrology, and we're not over. We're going to get to the GFS models, but let's talk about the major amounts of Saharan dust that we just recorded yesterday in southern Russia. It's not over. The dust storms are continuing to push tens of tons of dust off of the Libyan front here. You can actually see it, and the forecast is for heavy dust hitting Eastern Europe. So this entire tan and red region is the Mediterranean, and it's going to be pushing dust here into Eastern Europe. The forecast is a major dust cloud moving through the central Mediterranean midday on Sunday will reach Greece by early afternoon. Crete will already have been reached by the first significant dust late in the morning. The dense dust cloud will move across Greece and into Albania through Macedonia, Serbia, Bulgaria, and western Turkey by late afternoon. The second very dense dust cloud begins moving from the central part of the Libyan coast towards southern Greece and into the Aegean tomorrow. So lots of dust moving across into Eastern Europe, and we're going to be seeing more amazing pictures of what this produces tomorrow on the update. Let's check the GFS model. You're looking at the total snowfall looking out just 48 hours from now, and it's looking like Scandinavia is the winner here, as well as the Alps, picking up 2 to 3 feet of snow in certain regions here in north of Italy, including eastern France. And also, I want you to take note of southern Germany here, which we're about to look at a nonsense global warming article about them trying to protect the glaciers on the Zugspitze. If I just move this forward into April, you can see that all of Siberia and here in Moscow is going to be buried in 1/2 meter of snow. And we have huge amounts of snow continuing to fall throughout the entire Alps. There is going to be avalanche warnings. This is heavy, wet snow. It is going to block roads, crush people, and get people stuck. We're going to have heavy snows in northern Spain and parts of Portugal. And we have snow coming up here in the deserts of the Sahara in the middle of spring. The snow is going to fall heavily in central Italy, but the most heavy snow here is in portions of the Alps where up to 80 centimeters are predicted over the next 10 days, as well as 80 to 90 centimeters here in southern Norway. And take a look at Denmark. Denmark usually doesn't get a lot of snow, hasn't had a lot of snow this winter, but you could see up to 10 to 20 centimeters of snow in central Denmark, and over here near Copenhagen, where Heinrich Gutenhuis lives, they're predicting 8 to 10 centimeters over the next 10 days. Heinrich, check a look. The most of this snow is hitting Denmark Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning. So heads up, Denmark, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning. By Thursday morning, most of western Scotland will be covered in 2 to 4 centimeters. Northern UK will be hit, and then the heavy snows come right in here April 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, where the UK and Scotland are predicted to get hit hard again. So central spring seems like central winter. And moving on, we're going to go to the seismic update. We have a blot echo showing up today in Fiji at 528 kilometers, a 4.7. 3 hours later, boom, 6.4 in Sumalaki, which is still not up at the surface. This is a deep 6.4 in Indonesia. So interesting seismic activity. There is no tsunami effect from this. This is on land. So we'll be getting reports from that. I had no warnings or reports of damage, but that's the only significant uptick. Now let's talk about the idiots over at the Zugspitze, which is about to get buried in over 1 meter of snow over the next week. Can hacking the planet ward off climate change? No, but it can make you forever feel like an idiot if you were actually filmed doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 idiots putting black plastic over this small piece of ice trying to preserve it. Apparently, they've never seen a graph of how climate fluctuates on a multi-year plan here, where glaciers build and wane at a 400-year scale here. So here's major solar output cycles of solar max and min, causing temperature fluctuations up to 2 degrees C, up and down. And that glacier is going to melt. The glacier didn't exist back here in the Minoan Worm. It wasn't even there. It just formed back here. It's supposed to melt now, and it's going to reform, you idiots. Whew. So I am glad I'm not one of these D-bags that are rolling plastic on top of pristine snow to somehow preserve it. What they're doing is they're polluting the snow, which is going to run off into a creek filled with God knows what type of plastic additives. Let's talk about winter sea ice on the Arctic Ocean near record lows. This is coming out today, and it is a lie. And I went first to the DMI to check out ice volume, and it is rapidly increasing. It is now well and within the gray 30-year average. Here they're only showing it as a 15-year average, but this is the 30-year average as well. And it's touching the green line, which is the ice back in 2015. As far as volume. This is not sea ice extent, which is what they're claiming over here in the article. Winter sea ice on the Arctic Ocean covered the second smallest area. So they're not talking about ice volume because they're obfuscating from the truth. They're talking about the surface area. The surface area of Arctic ice changes annually based on the wind patterns. If it gets blown into the center, it gets very thick like it did this year, where it's over 5 meters thick here, right over the North Pole, in the polar region here, because prevailing winds have been pushing the ice to a thinner extent. So we might have a low ice extent, but we have a high Arctic ice volume. So that's where they confuse the masses. Ice extent and volume are unrelated. They're independent. And they use that as a way to lie to you. So now they're claiming this is the second lowest ever recorded in extent in this article. So let's go look at the sea ice extent coming from the very people claiming it's the lowest. And what I did was I just happened to easily overlay for your information 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015, 2007, 2006, and 2005 ice profiles as far as their sea ice extent, which has nothing to do with volume, is concerned. The extent is how much you can, square footage from space you can determine. And what you're going to quickly see here from looking at this composite that I created for you people is that these particular 7 years extending back 12 years ago are all identical for the most part, plus or minus the standard deviation, which I've lit up for you. So if we erase the standard deviation, you can see where we're currently sitting right in here was just a few days ago. And it is sitting right in the center of all of these years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years over the last 12 years. And what they're trying to tell you is that the Arctic ice sea extent is the second lowest ever in recorded history. And I'm calling BS because I'm showing you their very data they're calculating this on. And maybe for a millisecond, it was the second lowest ever recorded in their data set, but it's not different than any of the last 20 years. And I'm showing them to you. I'm showing you similar years over the last 15 years with the same ice extent, which has nothing to do with the volume of ice, which is currently at epic highs and is still increasing as we descend into the Arctic ice melt period. So they're lying to you, and I just showed you this is where we are in here, right in the middle, right? There's 18. I'm pointing to it. It's right in the middle of all 7 years. It's not the second lowest extent ever. It's increasing currently past all 7 of these years and is going to come out ahead of them all shortly. And that's because we've only started cooling in the last 10 years. Significantly. And in the last 3 years, we've been cooling very rapidly, as predicted. So don't let them scare you. The fear-mongering is nonsense. And I have been threatened over the last 2 days by more global warming supporters than I have ever been before. They're scared to death. They're coming to attack our channel. They're coming to attack these videos. And they're coming to attack you guys. Because we're all lying to them. They're unable to look at this graph and see that the last 15 years of Arctic sea ice, where I picked 7 similar years to this year, is exactly the same as every other year. Here we are at 2018 on March 17th. It can't get any more obvious than this where I'm pointing. In 2005, the Arctic sea ice was less than 2018. In 2006, it was the same. 2007, it was the same. 2015, it was the same. Here's the standard deviation. So basically, all these lines are exactly the same because they're all less than the standard deviation, plus or minus 2. This is science we're doing right now together live. So all you global warming alarmists, please come and attack us. The winter sea ice on the Arctic is not near or at record lows. It's absolutely normal. In fact, it's increasing in volume at record levels. Let's talk about more cutting edge scientists in the field of astronomy capturing visual evidence of giant plasma structures above the Earth. This is an awesome chick. She's a woman, actually. Sorry, I said chick. I apologize. Cleo Loy of the ARC Center for Excellence from All Sky Astrophysics, or Castro, the School of Physics at the University of Sydney. This woman is so badass. Come and watch this video. She was able to take radio telescopes, which we've been using for decades, and split them in half in this array over in Australia and make them look in 3 dimensions at our magnetosphere, which is very important moving into the forward because this magnetosphere is quickly shifting, not the rotational pole. So all you crazies that think that the weather and the latitude is moving, no, the magnetic pole's moving. The rotational pole is the same. It's just wobbling every 26,000 years. So what this amazing scientist did was use radio telescopes to get a 3D image of these magnetic field lines. You can visually see the magnetic field lines in her research, and they are conical structures, Birkeland currents, that come out of the Earth and go back into the Earth. So if you're interested in electric universe theory, I highly recommend you come over and check out the work of Cleo Loy. It is groundbreaking, and that is a heads up for all you truth seekers. Quick volcano update. Fuego Reventador, Dukono, Sakurajima, Kirishima, Sabankaya. We watched the awesome volcanic fountaining over here just moments ago as we started the video. If you come over here and check the video, it's the amazing fountaining happens right here at about 2 minutes where the major explosion occurs, which is about 12 hours ago. But just an amazing event to watch, and I'm sure they'll have better footage on Volcano Watch, so come check it out real quick. Let's close up the video. If you're interested in how proxy data is reconstructed to get temperature graphs like we show here on the channel, which are high resolution, which show the actual surface temperature through proxy data. In this particular GISP2, they used tree ring data because they have high resolution back 4,000 years. But in the larger scale, when you're talking a few million years, this is a great article to get yourself familiar with how they use oxygen isotopes and paleontology. I'm a paleontologist, an invertebrate paleontologist. That was my specialty. As a stratigrapher and a paleoclimatologist, we learn about the strata and the foraminifera associated in the strata because you can determine paleoclimates with high resolution using these microscopic creatures, which are abundant throughout geologic history in all regions and in almost all sedimentary environments that are marine. Just one of the key proxy data is to recreate the temperature, including oxygen isotopes and other data sets that we get out of the ice cores that if you're not familiar with, this is a great article to get you up to speed on what proxy data is and how to determine it. Let's talk about solutions, the best hand crank flashlight reviews. Now, we own a hand crank flashlight / weather radio, and I recommend to get the combo. I'm going to pick ours up. We've had it for 5 years. So you just crank it up, and we've got a really bright flashlight on it that's still 100% functional. It's LED. It gives us 5 bands, and you can listen to the radio on a 1-minute crank for like 30 minutes. It gets AM and FM. So this is something that will give you some type of entertainment when the grid goes down, as well as critical information. I suggest you stockpile these types of units rather than actual batteries. Batteries will go dead. These hand crank flashlights will sit fresh until you start using them. There's lots of reviews here, and you can get some here, the Iron Snow Dynamo, but you can also just go out to Walmart and pick one up for 30 bucks. They have them, so you can get started prepping. I suggest you getting a few of these. 2 to 5 for any family would be the minimum. Some of the hand crank and the higher milliamp output flashlights and some of the smaller portable ones. You're not going to be using these for long-term lighting at night, but some of the bigger ones are really important. And I'm going to cover a couple of the good ones real quick here before I finish up. This is another article about the best hang crank flashlights for survival. It has some of the similar models and some more higher tech models that they recommend that have plug-ins so you can charge up your phone. If you're looking at something that can charge up your phone and laptop, as well as a hand crank flashlight, the Global Zero Torch 250, I researched it. It's getting very high ratings. It cost about $80, but it's a great tool. You can plug in devices and let it charge. You can plug this into a device. It has a permanent cord in case you lose yours for charging directly from the device. It also has a hand crank on the far side. It has a very bright 8-light multi-light LED with double levels where you can go from 8 to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to 15 lights, so you can double the output. And more importantly, it has a solar panel. So you can literally use it as a solar charger for your laptop during the day. Has a floodlight, a spotlight, a red blinking light, and you can charge your cell phone while you're charging the 4,400 milliamp battery inside. The 4,400 milliamp battery inside will give you 1 or 2 hours of light. You could read a whole book before bed every night as well, or you could sacrifice the light and reading a book to charge your cell phone, which could be used as a GPS or any type of other device in a grid down situation. You can even play your stupid game on it. It costs $80. It's a high rating, and I recommend, if you have the money, to get a few of these Goal Zero torches because of their definite multi-use potential in a survival situation. This is an awesome product. Has a very high output 3.7 watt panel, which if you have full sun will actually charge your phone during the day while it charges the battery itself, so then you can use the light at night. And if you don't have any sun, you just go to the hand crank and you can fully charge the 4,400 milliamp battery in 3 minutes of cranking. It only takes a few Cheerios, folks. I talked to Tony Rango. He's down for the month of April. We're going to be discussing the science behind this chemtrail controversy. Now, I had to block a lot of people, and a lot of people claim they're unsubscribing. That's on them. That's how insane they are. If they don't want to know the actual truth about what's happening with the science behind the atmosphere and the confusion between chem and contrails, then they can go wherever they want and spew their lies and continue to rehash what someone else told them. But what Tony Rango and I are going to bring to the Observer community for you over the month of April is the truth about all of the science we know up to this point. We're going to also include interviews live with retired military personnel who worked on the actual geoengineering apparatus that's being deployed and used today. We're going to talk about cosmic ray mitigation, solar mitigation. We're going to be talking about cloud seeding, crop dusting, and every type of aerosol you can spray out of a plane at every level. Every patent that was ever created, every military secret op that we think may be in operation today, starting from the 1950s. All the current scientific literature that has been classified and declassified that you don't hear about from the mainstream, we will discuss. And coupled with that, we will discuss the current understanding of solar physics as it pertains to the solar minimum cosmic ray increase, which is bombarding us because of a multiplicity of things, including the grand solar minimum and the waning magnetosphere associated with the pole flip. Now that was a mouthful. We're going to break it down over an 8-hour period through April, which we'll share on our radio program and on YouTube, about the history of geoengineering, the insanity that ensued, the misinformation being pushed by Dane Wigington, and we will uncover the lies, and we will give you the truth in the end. So you will know when you look up in the skies if that plane is cloud seeding the Continental Divide, or it's actually just taking off from San Francisco and has an extended contrail because of cosmic ray flux. This will make you look like a genius, and you can take your tinfoil hat off at this point. Thank you, Tony Rango. Guys, I hope you got something out of the video. It's a lot of work, and I got to go to bed now. Share this with like-minded people. Steve Keeley is a D-bag. He deserves every inch of that snow. Be safe, everybody.